Welcome back to another live fasting check-in. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. And here we educate, we empower, and we encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating that life we've always wanted. And right now, I am just about to hit 33 hours into this week's 72-hour fast. And this is where the rubber meets the road. That's right. For most people, this is the moment where they quit. Not because they are failing, but because they never learned what the body is actually doing during this time. So tonight, I want to normalize the discomfort. You hear me? I want to normalize the discomfort that you may be feeling, and I want to reframe it, not as failure, but as a breakthrough in your progress. As I said, hey, welcome, wherever you're joining me from. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And we are living a limitless life, which says that we will do anything we need to do to set ourselves up for success as it relates to our health. That we are presenting our best selves, our best life, and our best health and our best plans for our lives. So we are working to improve. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to get off of medications, talking to patients and people who may have other metabolic issues that they need to deal with. And I'm just so excited that you're here, whatever platform you're joining us from. Thank you for joining, whether that's Instagram, whether you are on Twitch, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. Welcome to this space tonight. I see some of our community members are popping in. Glad that you're here. We're going to take a look at some things here in a minute. I've got my monitors that we'll take a look at, my Dexcom, my Libre. Well, let's go ahead and let's pop that up right now. So here you'll see I've got my Keto Mojo and I've got my contour meter. And then right below me, that is my Dexcom clarity report that we'll take a look at as we go through this episode tonight. If you have not already done so, I want to make sure that you know that as we are walking through this space, right, we're talking the health action plan, right, the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, and there are several components to it. We are walking through that path on our main show, Dwain Woode MD Live, on Monday nights. And then we have our 100-day walk to consistency that we completed that series, a little over almost 20 plus days now. And we are in our strength, strategy, and mindset. Remember, we are in the MOVE campaign. And the MOVE campaign is a big component of the health action plan. We have strength training and we've got walking. We are talking this week about fasting, right? We've been fasting for several weeks, but specifically as part of the health action plan, we are talking about fasting, and we'll get into that. But if you have not joined us yet, if you are not on the path, make sure that you jump in, because your success has with it the benefits that come not just for your diabetes, not just for your blood sugar, but across the board for all of your metabolic diseases that you may find that you're suffering with. Those of you who've been seeing us over the course of the last couple of days, we did our check-in. We started that check-in yesterday, just about 32 plus hours now, going to be 33 here in just a minute. We did that check-in. You saw what I ate, the last meal that I ate. If you've not watched that, go back and watch that. That was yesterday. We did our check-in today where we walked and we talked a little bit. And I'm glad that you are here. If you're joining me for the fast, and we'll talk more about that, I'm excited because we are in a 72-hour fast as we move through this phase of this week. So glad that you are here. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at my blood sugars. But before I do that, let me go ahead and put a little context for those of you who are joining us for the first time. We are trying to understand what are the best ways of getting the biggest benefit from fasting. That's what we're talking about right now, the show. How do we fast successfully? And you may be asking, wait a minute, why are we fasting? What is the purpose of fasting? Well, fasting is a component of what we call the health action plan. And we're doing that because across the country, around the world, there are over 1 billion people who currently are suffering from diabetes or pre-diabetes. That is, they have blood sugars, either they have blood sugars that are frankly in the diabetic range, or blood sugars that are not normal, but are not quite yet to the diabetes range. So that's what we call prediabetes and, of course, diabetes, over 1 billion. This is not to include those people who also have coronary artery disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, polycystic ovarian syndrome, obesity, people who actually struggle with metabolic syndrome, people who have other cardiovascular and vascular issues. That's what we're doing. And we are working right now to reverse that process. And as part of that, the active arm, notice that word active? The active arm of what we're doing is what we're calling the Health Action Plan. And so right now we're walking through that process and going through each of the pillars. This week we did our fasting, we introduced fasting, we talked about fasting, and we're using fasting in this space also to kind of connect everything together. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars so you can see what's been going on with my blood sugars over the course of the last couple of days. Let's hop over, and this is my Freestyle Libre. And you'll see there, my blood sugar right now is 80. And I'm looking at this number, this little graph right here. And you see that graph, the little squiggly line? That white line is where my blood sugars are. And you'll see that for most of today, the blood sugar has been below 100. And in fact, as we got to the end of the day, maybe starting right around 3:30, then that blood sugar dropped right on top of 70. It's not quite red, but there were a couple of times when it could have gone down to red. So that's my Freestyle Libre. And then let's take a look at, this is my Dexcom, and my Dexcom right now says blood sugar is 123. And as you know, Dexcom and Libre tend to be, well, I should say Dexcom Libre. All monitors can be off from each other, and what you're seeing now is just the difference between the two. And so if I go ahead and I look at same area for the graph, you'll see that my blood sugars have been kind of running in the 120s, low 100s, 119s for most of today. Actually, look at that right there. It got down right at about right below 100 actually, or in the 100 and 102, not quite below 100. And then in the afternoon popped up. Let's see right there. So 124. Now I was talking to someone in the office today, and let me, I guess, make a point here for those of you who are watching. And the question is, if I have not fasted, if I am fasting, if I have not eaten, why are my blood sugars in the 100s and why are they not lower? And one of the points I was making is that my body still has the ability to convert fat into sugar, because it converts it into, it breaks down the triglycerides, it uses the free fatty acids for something, the glycerol gets turned into sugar, and that's what you see. So I get excited for two things. Number one, I get excited when I see that my blood sugars actually dip below 100 and then they come back up. Actually, I get very excited when I see them dip below 70 and come back up. Because I know if it dipped below 70, that means that the blood sugar, the sugar that's roaming in my blood, actually has decreased. And then, where does the body get the other sugar, where it brought it back up? It gets that sugar by burning fat cells. Yes. So I'm excited about that. And that has implications for one of the other apps and graphs that we're going to show you here in just a minute. But before that, let's go ahead and hop over and let's take a look at my monitors. And so here you have my Keto Mojo, and here is my Contour. And if you think you know what my ketones are, go ahead and drop that in the chat. Go ahead and grab, let's see, I need a brown one and a blue one. So brown is blood sugar, and blue, let's see, do I have one of the skinny brown ones? No, I don't have a skinny brown one, but that's okay. I guess I'll use one of the old ones. Remember, we got some new test strips a couple weeks ago. All right, so we got that, and then let's go ahead and grab a strip for the Contour. And so if you think you know what my blood sugars are going to be, not my blood sugar, but my ketones are going to be, go ahead and drop that in the chat. And for those of you who've been following us, drop in the chat, drop in the comments where you are in terms of your fasting. I know there were several people who said they were fasting. Several people said that they were going to start fasting. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And invite you to join us. All right, so here is my strip for blood sugar for the Keto Mojo. And let's go ahead and grab our Lancet. So that's my Lancet right there. I grab a finger. And I've been going on this side of that finger for, I guess, ow, 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 ow. I hope that worked because that, oh, there you go. That was a brisk flow because I felt that one. All right, and I think that's going to be enough to get us a good, so 79 is what you see that the Keto Mojo says, 88 for the contour. Let's grab this out and let's go ahead and put our ketone strip in there. And go ahead and get that started. Okay. That was a pretty brisk bleed. All right, so what do you think it's going to be? All right, so that's coming up. 4, 3, 2, and 1. 0.3. So at a little less than 30, right at, let's see, got another, what's that? Another 12 minutes for 33 hours. And ketones, oh, I didn't show you that. And my ketones are 0.3, right? All right, so we'll talk more about that. Let's hop over and let's take a look at my actual blood sugars. And here's my report. You'll see here that my average blood sugar is 133. This is over the last 14 days, right? Each day, 133. My my glucose management indicator is a 6.5, and I am in target. Let's see, 93% of the time. Target being anywhere from 70 to 180. And I tell people that this graph, the in range graph, can be sometimes deceptive because you can actually be up here at 180 and still be considered in range. But I tell people that I want their blood sugar to actually be down in the 1-teens, between 100 and 120, somewhere in here is where I want you to be. And if you're there, then we get an A1C that we want, right? So right now my average is 133. If I go to 90 days and take a look at that, so my average over 90 days is 119. So the last couple weeks has been a little higher. And part of that, if you remember, and we'll take a look at the glucose graph here in a minute, was that I had several monitors, some of the continuous monitors that were off. And I saw my doctor last Friday actually, and got blood work. So we're gonna at some point do a show where we actually go over some of that. Let's go ahead and take a look at my daily graphs. And let's see. I'm not sure why it didn't pull over today's graph, but here's today. Here's yesterday, and you'll see there we kind of running in the 130s, right? Lower 130s, 140s for yesterday, and so we started the fast right in here, right? So about 12:23. Yeah, right about there. And so the blood sugar was about 124. Okay, and then of course now here we are, and I gotta see why that didn't sync up for today. But we took a look at that on the actual device, which is here, and let's go back 24 hours, and you'll see what those blood sugars were running. So 115, 120s, 1-teens, 120s. And then into today, what we just saw. Okay? Awesome. Here we go. All right. So now let's hop over and let's do, actually, before I talk to our community, let's do one thing. I want to go ahead and do a quick check-in. And as I talk about checking in is for us talking about how I'm feeling physically, mentally, and how I'm feeling emotionally at this space. We'll talk more about this actually as we get into our discussion for today, but I want to go through and do that. And whenever we're talking about making changes, whenever we're talking about our health, whenever we're talking about are we getting the benefit that we want from the things we're doing, fasting, walking, and so forth, we always want to do a check-in, and you'll see that the three parameters that I'm talking about are actually three of the parameters from our domains of health: the physical, mental, and emotional. Right? We did that series before we started the current mini series that we're doing. So how am I feeling physically? Physically, I'm actually feeling pretty good. I'm well rested. As you know, I went to New York over the weekend. That was a very hectic trip. Was supposed to leave on Friday because of weather, didn't get there, but left Saturday morning. Got to New York right about 2:00 in the afternoon at the airport. Left the airport, went, hung out with family. Got back to the airport around 2:30, 3:00 the next morning. So 12 hours later, and then flew out that morning. Yeah, so, right? So I was in New York probably a total of 16, maybe 18 hours at the most. So it was a very hectic weekend. And then coming into this week, I did a good job of getting rest. Okay, so that, as I mentioned to you all before, that one of my challenges, if we talk about the different domains of health, right, physical, if we talk about the health action plan that we're going to be getting into, the one thing, if I had to say, okay, this is where I struggle the most, it is with getting rest. Okay, so that's my thing. And you guys, I know some of you out there, you're like, doctor, you need to get some sleep. Yeah, that is my one thing. That's the place where I have my biggest struggle. And this is physically, I'm feeling good because I've been rested. Also, I've been doing a good job of hydrating. So I'm not feeling lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty, and so forth. Right? And then mentally, once again, if you are fatigued physically, then that will carry over into your thought process. And right now, feeling pretty good. I walked today. I did our check-in today. I just finished doing some weight training with my son. I'm here with you, and just mentally, I'm feeling very clear. Feeling, and we'll talk about, I was going to say excited, but that comes on the emotional. But right now, don't feel like I'm in a fog. Don't feel dull or as though I am not able to process. And then, of course, that brings us to the emotional. And the emotional, because of my trip, partially because of my trip this past weekend, seeing family. There are 6 of us, 3 boys, 3 girls, brothers and sisters. I was able to see 5 of us were together: my mom, my aunts, my cousins, some friends that we hadn't seen in a while. So that was very exciting for me. And even though the trip didn't quite go in terms of length the way I thought it was, it was fun, right? And I'm very excited. This weekend we have some other things going on. So we've got some graduations, seeing some of my friends' kids graduate, because we're in the college town where I went to school, and also some family members. And so all of that really brings a lot of excitement in terms of emotional for me. And so right now, actually doing very well on all 3 of those. Okay? All right, so let's hop over and let's say hello to some of our community members. I see you out there. And let's see, we've got Bowie, who is saying hello. Hey, how are you doing? And you've been kind of hanging out with us this week as we did our fast. We started our fasting. We got through our fasting, and so thank you for hanging out and being here with us. She says, "Hi everyone," and she says, "This week feels a little easier than last week so far. I don't feel hungry, but my stomach is definitely growling now." Yes. So what does growling mean, by the way? What does growling mean for everybody who's out there? What does growling mean? Well, growling means empty. Growling means empty, right? Now we've come to associate it with being hungry, but very good observation, by the way, Bowie. And so Pam says, hello, everyone. Bowie says, hi, Pam. Gian says, hi, doctor. Hi, Limitless Living Gang, LLG. Glad you are here. Hi, Bowie and Gian from Pam. Bowie says, and Young. Okay. Ji Young. It says, I just dropped in to say my neighbor visit me soon, so I will recast. Well, thank you for coming through. Thank you for being here. He said, thank you. Always good to see you, Limitless Living Gang. Vui says she thought that my ketones were going to be 0.7, but they're actually 0.3. My timer says 28 hours so far. All right, so very good. 28 hours. Great, great, great for you. So do the doctor you go to work in the same office as you? No, we don't. We're not working in the same office, but we are. We've been talking together, right? And several people actually have been on the fast with us. And so let me say that here at the beginning, okay? So yesterday we started the fast, and I do the 72-hour fast. And so if you are, as we've talked about, if you are in the process of saying, okay, I'm going to do a 24-hour fast, which is what we recommend as a start, you could have started with us yesterday, right? We ended that. You would have ended your fast today at about 12:26 or 12:30-ish. We started the second day of the fast today, and we are now in the second day, right? So we're 33 hours now. Right at 33 hours. Let me make sure I got that right. Yes, 33 hours. And so you could have done a second your 24 hours today. If you didn't do that tomorrow, right, at the same time, we're going to be going into our fourth day. At 48 hours and into the third day. So you can join us then. So my point is that at any point in any of those spaces, if you're working on your 24 hours, come on out, join us, and let's do it together, right? I'm doing the 72 hours. You can do a 24 hour at the first hour, the first day. You can join me the middle, the second day. You can join me the end, the third day. But let's work on doing that together. Okay? Awesome. And then let's go ahead and let's talk. Let's jump into our conversation, and we'll get to that. So let's do that right now. All right, so we are talking about fasting. And we've couched fasting as an amazing tool that we are using as part of the health action plan. Now, I want you to note the name of this plan that we have. It is the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. And the reason I want to go through that is that limitless living is not confined to a particular space. As you saw when we went through the domains of health, that all of the domains, all 8 of those domains, are fair game. Limitless living touches all of them. And often people will say to me, how do those relate to health? And they relate to health in that in order for us to be able to grow, in order for us to be able to see, in order for us to be able to put into place and to practice the things that we need to in terms of our health, we've got to make sure that we are managing the domains of health and that we're managing those appropriately. Okay? So coming through the domains of health is very important. And so now we've come to limitless living in terms of our health action plan. The action, one of the things that I always want to point out is that learning, education, I love it. As a matter of fact, I often will tell people, like, if I could be a professional student all the time, I would do that. Because I just love learning, love seeing those connections. But that is just theory until it's infused with action. And so the health action plan is the functional arm. It is the place where the rubber meets the road. It's the place where the things that we're learning gets put into action. And as a component of that, one of the pieces of that, of course, is the fasting. And fasting is part of that 2-tier, or the first tier of the action plan. That is walking and fasting. Why are those the top tier? Because one, they don't cost anything. Two, they both hit the three pillars that we talk about when we talk about reversing diabetes. That is decreasing insulin, suppressing the appetite, and reducing sugar. Both fasting and walking hit both of those. And so they are the top tier because they are the simplest things that people can begin doing when they become interested in their health, when they want to do something that will change their health. This is the space. These are the things that they can begin doing right away. However, whenever we talk about fasting, there are some interesting things that come about. First of all, people think that they're starving, and you've probably had that before where people say, oh, why are you starving yourself? But we're not starving ourselves. We're voluntarily saying, I am abstaining from calories right now because I am trying to reset. I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to reverse. I'm trying to get my metabolism righted. I'm trying to take the dysfunction away. I'm trying to become homeostatic. I'm trying to get back into balance. Okay? And when we go through fasting, we will sometimes feel some discomfort. Let me put it out there. But the discomfort that we feel is based on our perception of what's going on in our body, right? We feel it as dysfunction. But what I want to do right now in this episode is I want to normalize the discomfort that you're feeling. And I want to reframe it, not as a failure, not as the body fighting against us, but as a breakthrough in progress. Okay? So most people at 33 hours is where we are. Most people drop out during this pain. When they are dropping out, it drops out right here in this space. Why? Because several things are going on during this 26 to 36 hours, right? 24 to 36 hours, right? That span, and we're right in the middle of that, so 33 hours. Number one of the things that's going on is that glycogen is being depleted. When you think about what goes on in the body, we take food in, and metabolism is really the conversion of the food into energy. So we're taking food in, and the body, it's kind of like when you go to the grocery store and you come home, as I mentioned, you're sorting the food, right? You come with a bag of groceries or several bags of groceries, and you put it in the kitchen, and you begin taking the cans out, you put them in one place. You take this frozen stuff, you put it in the freezer. You take the stuff that has to be refrigerated in the regular part of the refrigerator, and you put those in the refrigerator. So what you're doing is you're sorting. So when we finish eating, when we are done, that first 6 hours, 6 to 12 hours, the body is sorting the food. And then it begins switching, right? So now it's going and say, okay, give me some food, right? Your body's switching to a deeper process where it's now taking the stuff that's running through your blood, that's gone. Now it goes to the liver, give me some of that so I can use that for energy. And then at some point, the stuff that's stored in the liver gets depleted. I was talking to somebody today, and their thought was that the liver always has stuff in it. And the answer is no. The liver can only store so many carbs. As a matter of fact, the liver can store 100 grams of glycogen. And when that's gone, then it has to get more energy from somewhere else. And that's where it now turns to burn the fat. So in this space right now, in the 24 to 36 hour space, and right now I'm in 33 hours, your body is switching to a deeper fat burning. But the metabolic switch can feel uncomfortable. Your energy may dip, right? Because it's going from one thing to the other. You may get irritable, and you may have some mental fog. And a lot of this actually has to do with what is going on as we're preparing for the fast, as we come into the fast. And you guys saw, if you've not done so, look at one of our episodes where we saw what we're using to break the fast. So glycogen is depleted. That's one reason why people begin feeling discomfort. Another reason is that ketones are going up. Remember, ketones are those substances that are being produced because the body now is burning fat. And so the ketones are rising, and you're in what's called nutritional ketosis. But you're not yet in that super clarity zone. You're transitioning. And that often kicks in, that supercharged zone, that often kicks in 36 to 48 hours. And so in this space, it's kind of like driving a hybrid car, and the gas starts to go down and the body or starts to decrease, and your car is now going to be switching over to burning energy from the battery. So the ketones are going up, but we haven't quite gotten there. Right, so that's number 2. The glycogen is going down, the glycogen stores are going down, the ketones are rising, and cravings can peak during this phase. Specifically and particularly when we, as the body has to burn the stuff we ate, depending on what we did, depending on what we ate, depending on how high the blood sugars are, the cravings here can be incredible. Think about this. If your blood sugar is normally, and we're going to talk specifically for diabetics right now, we'll come to talk about other folks in a minute. If your blood sugar is normally high, say your blood sugar runs 170, maybe it runs 200, maybe it runs 150, let's leave it go there. In order for that blood sugar to come down, the body has to produce insulin, or you have to take insulin medication from outside to bring it down. That insulin that's there can cause cravings. So the higher the blood sugars are, the higher the insulin has to be. The higher the insulin is, the bigger the cravings. But here's something that I want to get right here. Cravings are not commands. Did you hear what I said? So cravings aren't commands. So cravings are not like, you have to do this. I want to pause here, because for many of us, once the craving happens, it's an absolute certainty that whatever the craving just came with, that's what we're going to do. But what I want to propose to you is that cravings really are just conversations. What is the body asking for? And what can you give it besides the food that it just says that it needs? Right? So those cravings will come, and in our minds, we have to make a decision. Do I follow the craving, or do I do something else? And we have the choice to be able to do that. When we talked about the COPE model, right? Clarify, observe, pause, and execute. Clarify, observe, pause, and execute. That's the COPE model. And the COPE model says that there are things that are going to affect us other than the fact that my body needs the energy, because that's what hunger is. Hunger is my physical need for energy. There's a psychological hunger. And so when we are using the COPE model, clarify, observe, pause, and execute, we're trying to figure out what is the thing right now that's driving this, because I know it can't be hunger. So is it that I'm bored? Is it that I'm frustrated? Is it that I'm lonely? Is it that I'm angry? Is it that I'm depressed? Is it, and we can go through a list of those things. What is it right now that's prompting what we call craving? Now, this also has implications for using medication, right? So everyone's talking about the GLP-1 receptor agonists. And these are things like Mounjaro, Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, and we can go through, I mean, there are more on the market, they're compounding them and all over the place. But it has implications there as well, because the thing that those medications do is they help to suppress the appetite. They help to suppress the appetite, which means then that what they do is they make us not have to respond right now to the craving. And I am a proponent, by the way, for GLP-1 receptor agonists, because for the first time in a long time, we have a group of medications that are of tremendous benefit for our folks who are struggling with metabolic disease. Okay? So we are suppressing the appetite. Now here's where the rub is. It doesn't matter how much I suppress your appetite. If you get mad enough, frustrated enough, lonely enough, bored enough, if you become anxious enough, if you become depressed enough, guess what? Your emotions will push through what's going on in terms of suppressing the appetite. And on the opposite side of that, if you are able to make it, if you're able to reframe the thought process about what's going on in your body at the time, the cravings will subside. So that says that it is not an emergency. It is not a necessity. It is something that's going on in my mind. So cravings are not commands. They don't automatically make you do, right? Which is why we've put in place several of those tools. For instance, the COPE model. Clarify, observe, pause, execute. Understanding what are the triggers that will push me off of my eating plan is also an important one, and that's called the HEAT model. And the HEAT model says habits, emotions, access, and taste. Those are the things that will push me off of my plan. These are the places that will trigger me to get off my plan. So as we're dealing with cravings, we have to understand what is it that's going on within me that is making me go in the direction of whatever craving is, because it is not an absolute necessity. It is not a command. It is not something that has to happen. It is my mind telling me something, and I have the choice to not follow it. Yep. So what is my body telling me? So this cravings and conversations. What is my body telling me? What is it asking for? And what can I give it instead of the food? Is it asking for comfort? Is it asking for peace? Is it asking for companionship? Is it asking for that dopamine burst? This is not the moment to run away. This is the moment to listen, to respond, and rewire. Because often when we feel these things, when we feel those cravings, when we feel it's like, man, I can't do this anymore, and we succumb, and we're like, okay, I'm gonna stop. But this is the time where we can begin listening to our body, understanding. For example, one of our members said that, hey, my stomach is growling. Growling means it's empty. But we've come to associate growling with hunger. So we have to rewire, rewrite, readjust those things, that neuroplasticity, get our brain and our signals to do something different. So that when we understand our body, now we know what that means, and we're better able to deal with it in a different way. Second point I want to make. So that's why, right? So that is what's going on in the body. Why most people drop out in this space. So how do we handle that? One, we want to reframe. And when we're reframing, what we're doing is we're reframing this middle fast wall, if you will, from resistance to resilience. Because sometimes we think, well, my body can't do this. My body is not able to do this. My body is saying that it's not going to be able to go through this fast. So instead of seeing this moment as a wall, right, boom, we want to see it as a window. Your body is adjusting. I was out, told you I was doing some weight training with my son. And one of the concepts that we're learning, because we do this balancing activity where you get some weights. We're using dumbbells, by the way. So we got some dumbbells and we stand, we got them in the hand, and it's a balance with a knee kick. And so what you do is you balance on one side and you lift the knee, and you want your thigh to be parallel with the ground, and you hold it there, and you're trying to remain balanced. And we do a 5 count, you do a 10 count, whatever number of counts. And one of the points that we are learning there is that the process of balancing is not a signal that I cannot. Oh, come on. I want you to hear that. The fact that my body is, right, I'm wobbly when I'm doing that doesn't mean that I can't do it or that that's outside of the realm of possibility. What it means is that my nervous system is working to try to bring me back into balance, because when I am wobbly, right, my ears and my eyes and my nerves in my feet and even the nerves in the rest of my body, they're trying to figure out how to get me back into balance. And so sometimes when we're fasting, we feel those things and we think, oh, I'm off balance, I'm wobbly, so that means I shouldn't do this. No, that's not what it is. Your body is adjusting. Your body is changing. Your body's trying to figure out how to actually keep you going. Because it's okay, the carbs are going away, the glycogen is going away, now I got to get some fat. Okay, now I have the fat, now I got to convert that into ketone. Your body's trying to figure out. And there's this concept called, that we call flexibility, right? Metabolic flexibility. That is the body's ability to go from burning one source to another. So not only are you adjusting, right, the body in what it's doing, but also your identity is adjusting. Because before now, we couldn't fast. Before now, we were not able to do that. Before now, we didn't know how to go about improving our metabolism. Before now, we didn't know how to regulate our blood sugars. Before now, we didn't know how to lose weight. But right now, you're showing your nervous system in this space that you don't need to react to every signal. Just because it is uncomfortable doesn't mean that I have to react to it. Just because I have a craving doesn't mean that I have to follow the craving. You're saying to your nervous system that you can ride out discomfort without numbing it. That I don't have to pacify it all the time. There's a whole bunch that I was going to say there, but I'm going to leave that alone. You're also saying to your nervous system that you are no longer dependent on food to regulate your mood, to regulate your boredom, to regulate your stress. I don't need the food anymore. So at 33 hours, as we're in this space, this is where the rubber, like they say, meets the road. Yeah, this is where it is. Because once we get past this, and this is the beauty of this, once we get past these hours, the ketones have gone up, glycogen is gone, we are now in ketosis, we are burning fat intentionally and at will, we have a pure source of energy, and the cravings are suppressed by the ketones. So getting through this space, this middle passage as they call it, right? Getting through this space is incredible. One of the points that I make whenever I'm teaching is that when we talk about growth, right? Improvement, growth, whether it's muscles, whether it's our thought process, whether it's our mindset, whether it's our behavior. When we talk about growth, most people think that growth happens once you have crossed the line between the known and the unknown. You got a decision to make, and you of course you know here where you are, that's familiar, and you don't know over there because that's unfamiliar. And most people think that once they go across the line into the unfamiliar, that's where the growth happens. That's not the case. The expansion happens over there. But the growth happens at the line of the known and the unknown. Because in order for you to have built up the self-assurance, self-confidence, self-efficacy, in order for you to have built that up to step across that line, that took growth. So in order for you to go beyond this space, for you to go beyond what your body's telling you right now, when the body says, let's go eat this, when the body says my stomach is growling, when the body, all those signals that the body's giving, in order for you to go past those signals, you have to have grown, and you have to have been able to give a different spin. You have to have been able to reframe. The other concept that I'm learning as we are working through our stress strategy and mindset is tension, time under tension, or tension under time. Tension over time, sorry. That is that tension is where growth happens. Anytime there is tension, you have to change. Whether it's a muscle, right? We're lifting weights, or in your personal experiences, in your relationships, whenever there is some quote unquote conflict, that's tension, you have to grow. You have to figure out how to make that thing work now. And here as well, when there is this friction, when there's this tension between what the brain is saying and what the body knows and what you're feeling, that's tension. And this is the kind of stress, this is the kind of tension, this is the kind of situation that causes growth and builds resilience. Not just physically, but emotionally and neurologically. So instead of asking, why is this so hard? Here's another word, or another phrase, another question. What is it that I am learning about me? Not that I'm learning about fasting, not that I'm learning about the world out there. What is it that I'm learning about me? What is it that's driving me? And then how do we actually put this into place? How do we put this mindset into place? How do we get through this craving? How do we get through the 33 hours? How do we get through this space of where the body is converting or transitioning from one space to another? Yeah, structure and rhythm. Structure and rhythm. This is your safety net. So this brings us back to two of the pillars of our Limitless Living Health Action Plan, which we will come to later. But structure and rhythm. Rhythm, alignment, and structure. Rhythm, alignment, and structure. Structure holds you accountable. Structure holds you in place when motivation goes away. Motivation is fleeting, but structure is there. It is the thing that keeps you going. I fast every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday. That's the plan. I don't pick a different day at will, at random. You guys know when I fast. Hey, when is Dr. Wood fasting? He's fasting on such and such. As a matter of fact, in our community, someone asked that question. Hey, when do you fast? And someone else answered, he usually fasts on da 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 da. So there's structure there. It holds me when motivation disappears. When I get to Tuesday afternoon, right, and I'm like, oh man, do I want to do that again? I know, okay, this is the day. It's not going to be on Monday. It's not going to be on Sunday. It's not going to be on some random, today is the day. So I begin preparing for that even before I get there. Rhythm carries you when your willpower wavers. So the structure's there. This is what happens. I get up in the morning. I'm doing my 100-day walk to consistency. I'm going to finish here. We're going to go outside. I'm going to do my strength training. Right? My son and I, we do that Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. That's the plan. That's the structure. And the rhythm that you get into carries you when your willpower wavers. It is, what am I going to do? What is the course of my life? What is the tenure of my life? What do I say I want? What is my why? All of those things are built into that rhythm. And one of the simplest and most transformative recommendations that I have is this. Aim to fast for one 24-hour period each week. One 24-hour period. Pick a day. It could be any day. I fast on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Start my fast on Tuesday. Come join me. That's it. One day. One stretch. Not because it's easy, but because it teaches us structure. Not because it is the best thing, but it teaches us structure. When you do a 24-hour fast regularly, you stop making food the center of every decision. You start building metabolic flexibility. You start reclaiming control. I can't tell you. Let me make this point. So when I'm coming to a fast, I get excited. For a long time, if you've heard my story, for a long time, as the person who was tasked with helping people with metabolism, I struggled myself. And so to have a tool that I can use for myself that puts me in a position to say, okay, I am now driving this bus. I am the one that's directing this. This has been an amazing tool for me. You start reclaiming the control. And you discover that your hunger doesn't control you. That you control how you respond. In fact, a situation happened just recently, a couple of days ago. And in my head, I thought to myself, I am not responsible for how other people respond. I'm responsible, though, for how I respond to a certain situation. And for those of you who've taken that first step, right? Those of you who joined us tonight, right here at 33 hours, you are living proof that it works. You are walking it out. You are learning to listen. You are building the identity of someone who finishes. And that has implications across the board in terms of our health. Because the place that a lot of people will fall down is because they think that they are unable to make changes in their health. And so if I can't make a change, if nothing I do works, if I'm not in control, then what the heck? I'm just going to go with the flow. I'm going to let life happen. I'm going to let my health be what it is. And so what happens is people walk down that path, and it takes them years and years, and it takes them difficulties and complications before they wake up and they say, oh man, I can't keep going like this. Because if I keep going like this, I'm not going to be able to survive. And what I want as we are moving through this space is for us to have at our fingertips the action plan that says, okay, if I follow this plan, then I can be successful. So what are you learning about yourself right now? What is it that your fasting is teaching you? What do you need to learn about yourself? And how can you implement fasting to begin learning that? What discomfort can you reframe as a transformation rather than a wall? Right now, the cookie is calling you, the candy is calling you, the ice cream is calling you, the pasta is calling you, the bread, whatever it is calling you because there is something in us, in me, in you that is being elicited by the food. It is not the food that we're interested in. It is not I was going to say it's not the taste, but yeah, it is the taste. But the food does something for us. So what rhythm do we say we want? What alignment do we say we want? Are the things we do, are they aligned with what we say we want our life to be? And do we have structure? Do we have structure in place to keep us going when our motivation wanes? What rhythm are you ready to build? Not just today, not just tomorrow, but on a weekly basis, and not just for this year, but for the rest of your life. The truth is, you're closer than you think. The truth is that you are and can be successful. The truth is that you can fast. The truth is that you can follow the health action plan. The truth is that if you commit, truth is if you're consistent, if you have rhythm, if you have alignment, and if you have structure, anything is possible. And that's the beauty of limitless living, because it says nothing from outside of me or nothing from inside of me is going to prevent me from doing what I need to do. I'm presenting my best self, my best health, and my best plans for my life. And right now, fasting is an amazing way of doing that. So my challenge to you is stick with it. You're closer than you think. Stick with it. The craving is not a command, it's a conversation. Stick with it. You're more resilient than you think you are. Stick with it because your body is not your enemy. It actually is trying to help you by giving you the signals. All we have to do is understand what's going on in our body. What do those cravings tell us? And what are the signals that the body is trying to give me? If I understand that, if I listen, and if I stick with it, I can be successful. I can reverse my metabolic disease. I can reverse the high blood pressure. I can reverse the diabetes. I can be successful. So this is Dr. Dwain Woode. We educate, we empower, we encourage. Take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications. Go to the next level. And we're coming back as we continue the path of the health action plan. And fasting is an amazing part of that plan. Amazing part of that plan. All right. I love that conversation, y'all. That one right there really is. I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to myself. Okay, because the 33 hours. I'll tell people once I get through that first day, I'm usually good. Right, the first day, and if I do a good job of preparing to get into that first day, it's usually good. And I am learning. I have learned so much about myself. I'm hoping the people around me are seeing the education that's happening in me. But because it allows me to be in my space and understand I don't have to pacify. I don't have to fix. I don't have to respond to every signal that comes here. And that has implications not just for fasting, but for every aspect of my life. All right, let's see. Let's go back over here. Let's say hi to some of our community members. Let's see. What do we got? Bowie says, I bought so many discount Easter chocolates yesterday impulsively. I tell myself I will have one Cadbury egg after I succeed the 72 hours. Okay, I love that. I'm going to hold on to that, Bowie, because I do want to make a comment. I say I want to do this to build more successful attempts so I feel more confident the next time. Okay, awesome. I love it. Cornelia says, hello, Doctor. Shri, Bowie, Pam, congrats, Bowie. Good job this week. Yes, definitely. Bowie says, hi, Cornelia. Oh, I guess I should be putting these up, right? Hi, Cornelia. Thank you, Bowie. Says, you're welcome. I'm loving all your wins. Yes, I appreciate knowing you and the doctor are doing this too. It gives me more confidence. Yes, I love that. Community is amazing. Cornelia says, yes, the same here. Thank you. Pam says, hi, Cornelia. I was sleepy until my stomach growled. And so, hey, Pam, from Cornelia. I love that. All right. So as we are walking through fasting, right? So remember, fasting is a tool. Fasting is part of the things that we do, and you'll see that fasting actually spans several things, right? So when we talk about the domains of health, fasting is part of our physical domain. When we talk about the health action plan, fasting is part of the one of the tiers, right? Tier 1. When we talk about how we learn about ourselves, when we talk about mental changes, when we talk about mindset, fasting is in there. So fasting hits a lot of the different things. But all of it is wrapped into our Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, with the blogs, with the podcast. We empower with the tools that we're learning, the 100-day walk to consistency, the strength strategy and mindset mini-series or series that we're doing. We talk about the fasting, the check-ins that we're doing on a daily basis. All of those are tools that we're using. And as we go through the health action plan, we will delineate all those tools so that we say, okay, where do I start? What is number one? This is it. As I mentioned before, if someone asks you, hey, I want to improve my metabolism, where do I start? Here, health action plan. Right, and we've put that, we've created a playlist that will have all of those. We have the first three, the introduction, the walking, and the fasting in that playlist. Point them there. Say, hey, if you want to improve metabolism, start there. As I mentioned before, today, as I was doing my check-in, you guys saw us move from the domains of health into the health action plan. And it was deliberate because in order for people to get the idea, for them to be able to look at the world differently, for them to be able to have the wherewithal, the mindset, the bandwidth, if you will, to walk through the health action plan, they have to have looked at their domains of health. They have to have gone through the Limitless Living inventory to say, okay, how am I doing in all of these domains? Because it's hard to think about fasting if we're going through emotional issues from a relationship. It's hard to think about fasting or walking if we are lonely and bored. It's hard to think about these things if we've not done a good job of dealing with the domains. So if you want to improve metabolism, yes, start with the health action plan. But if you want to make sure that you are jump starting what you are doing and be successful long term, start with the domains of health. Evaluate where you are so that you can set yourself up for success. And then now on top of that, we add the health action plan, and my goodness, what an amazing process. So we educate, we empower, and then we encourage. If you are not part of our community, even as we are doing our check-ins and we see people coming and people are joining and people are commenting, join the community. Come to the lives. Join our meetups that we have on the fourth Thursday of every month. Join us here as we are supporting each other. This is an amazing space to be as part of the process. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. And we encourage you to come and join us. When you show up, the health action plan, that action word is deliberate because it indicates motion. It indicates movement. It indicates something that's being put in from you. Because just having the knowledge, having the theory without applying it doesn't mean anything. But it comes to life when you infuse it with your behavior, with your action. So come join us, join in, do it as we're doing it, and then invite somebody along. Help grow the community. Say, hey, if I can get this benefit, let me pass that on to somebody else. Let me help them, because I see people around me struggling, my family members, people at my church, people on my job, people on my doctor's office. When I go to my doctor's office, you know what we talk about? Limitless living. He said, hey, how are you doing? As a matter of fact, we went this past week on last Friday. And he looked at my A1C. He said, man, what are you doing? Yeah, I said, I'm doing the same thing we were doing the last time I was here. I'm living a limitless life. And so I encourage you in all of your spaces to live limitlessly. Your challenge for tonight, your challenge for this episode is, if you have not already done your fast, join us this week. If you have done a fast, I want you to be particularly thinking about what is it that I'm learning? What are the signals that I'm getting from my body? And begin understanding those so that you can have a kind of a database of things that happen in your body and what they mean, because they do not mean that you're hungry. They do not mean that you have to go get that ice cream. They do not mean that you have to get that chocolate cake. They do not mean that you have to eat that pasta. And I can go through a whole list of stuff. By the way, those are the things I'm thinking about. not right now, but Oh, I'm so excited to always be in this space with you. Glad to see you in the space. Glad to see the successes that you're getting, that you're having. We will be back tomorrow as we do our check-in. I'll probably do a check-in early in the day. For those of you who want to join, we'll just talk right around a little after lunchtime, and then we'll be back in this space tomorrow night as we do our check-in. By then, we'll probably be about 56 hours or thereabouts. And then, of course, on Friday, we'll do our complete review of fasting, how to prepare for a fast, get through the fast, and how to break a fast. And then on Saturday night at 9 o'clock, video from the vault. Sunday morning, This Week in Review, 6 a.m. Central, and then we're right back here next Monday for Dwain Woode MD Live as we continue our path of walking through the Health Action Plan, that amazing blueprint that puts action to the things that we're learning. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for being in this space. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Woode with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and that is running. That is built on limitless living, which says that I'm not allowing anything to prevent me from doing what I need to do. Nothing from outside, nothing from inside of me. I'm presenting my best self, my best health, and my best plans for my life because I am going to be successful. Thanks for joining. We'll see you at the next episode. Good night, everybody.